Drop it.
Welcome back, my passive income investors. I'm out here getting some exercise. Well, not so much sun, but I'm definitely doing my social distancing part by about 30 acres, give or take. But today I really wanted to touch base on the state of the economy, the likely outcomes I think we're going to experience, and then I want to share with you a conversation I had with the CRA as I kind of play within this gray area of collecting that emergency relief benefit. But first of all, guys, I woke up this morning, and when I looked at my stock portfolio pushing back into being green on the year, I was just a little confused considering we have record unemployment rates that can only be compared to like the Great Depression, and the government is printing off trillions of dollars, more than it even did in the 2008 financial crisis, and we don't know fully where the economy is going from here, so it seems so irrational and confusing for the stock market to be going up. But hey, I'm not complaining. I'm still reinvesting my dividends and whatnot. But at the same notion, guys, what are these likely outcomes we might see? Well, in the best case scenario, let's say, okay, guys, they start opening the economy this May, people start going back to work, the economic machine starts flipping the lights on and the cogs start running, and then all of a sudden, things get better, guys. The disease kind of slowly goes away, and then all of a sudden, by the end of the year, we're back to normal. Now, the only other outcome we're likely to experience, numero dos here, ladies and gentlemen, the one that I don't want to see for sure, is that the economy starts slowly opening up, and then maybe come midsummer, we don't see the end of this virus, and it has like a second wind, like pandemics we've historically seen throughout history in the past, and then all of a sudden we have to go back down on lockdown, sending us into a hurtling recession, and then we might even end up in a depression. Now that could be absolutely terrible, and I want to talk about how this kind of relates to your investment strategy before I kind of touch base on this conversation I had over that government check for $2,000. But if you're trying to make a lot of money in this stock market, you might hear people like myself going on about, oh, well, be careful, don't be investing a lot of money. That kind of goes against the motto of a dividend investor, considering I'm cost averaging and constantly, again, with dividends set up. But if you want to be one of those guys that say makes $1 million and you hear about these stories when these market crashes, those people have to take on some severely excessive risk. And I think there's a way you can approach it where you're probably not going to see like the $1 million upside, but you can definitely capitalize on this event for sure. And I mean, like I said, I'm still investing, but I might even use the line of credit that I have from the bank because the interest is at record lows. Most stocks are at record lows, but before I would take on that kind of assumed risk, I would have to know with a little bit more certainty about where we're going to be heading. And luckily we have earnings coming up right now, guys. We got Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Google, like all these companies over the next couple of days. Keep your eyes and ears open because that's really going to gauge out where we currently sit with this pandemic. And then moving forward, the next quarterly earnings will definitely reveal the most of what's probably going on in the economy by then. But presuming that these companies that we're looking at are going to be able to survive this and do okay, I mean, if you have the right knowledge behind what you're investing in, I say go ahead and use the line of credit. I'm an over-optimistic, though, too. Remember, guys, I'm like a glass half full kind of dude, but I still do things with extreme due diligence and with the idea in mind that I could lose all that money. So if I'm going to be leveraging the bank's money and I might end up owing them more than they're going to make me, I don't want to run into that situation, right? But just a little food for thought. But let me come over here, guys, and maybe just show you some of the nice, nice farmland we live on out here. We got a nice little pond out here, and I want to come have a seat while I try and explain to you this conversation I had with the CRA. So even the doggy likes going for a little bit of a swim in the pond here, guys. But let's take a seat here because we gotta have a conversation. We gotta sit down and have this conversation, folks. Now, as many of you are aware, I took on the emergency relief plan here in Canada, and I know a lot of people in the US are getting it as well, but the stipulations are much different on each side of the border. So before I explain this conversation, if you're new to this channel, let me build up to this moment where I called them. And by the way, slap a like and consider subscribing because I've been sharing a lot of personal details here, guys. But nonetheless, what ended up happening come into March, being a full-time magician, entertainer, I was really concerned about my work because January, February, extremely dead months. I really rely on launching in March to make a lot of money and then, somewhat picks up in summer and gets really busy in December. But as you are aware, this pandemic started taking off, and then all of a sudden I lost for probably about $5,000, maybe even $6,000 worth of work as of this moment. And I was getting really concerned. I mean, we were watching the economy, the stock market, my portfolio dropped over 30%, almost by $50,000. I mean, thousands of dollars worth of work just getting canceled time and time again. And then I was really relying on this YouTube channel and like these new websites we launched. So thanks for anybody that purchases the stock portfolio tracker from the Chartmaster, because I mean, it's not huge money, but it definitely helped me out, including selling some things around the house. So when the government introduced this relief plan, I thought I was like prime person to sign up. And then coming into April, like the concerns were mounting. I definitely signed up for the relief plan with all kinds of, you know, hesitation, fear, anxiety about what my future income is going to look like, because I'm working really hard here with this YouTube stuff, but at the same time, it's not making me like enough that I could ever sustain on it, right? So here I was, that check came in from the government, guys, that big juicy $2,000 check, and I literally used it to re-top up my accounts because I don't like owing people money. So at this time, I wanted to get all my debts out of the way. I paid all my taxes, paid the accountant, got all my bills finalized, drained my accounts almost to zero, my savings accounts, and then that check came in and I felt great again. I was like, oh my goodness, this is pretty great, right? Like this is going to help me sustain. I got a decent sized emergency fund. I went and bought things that I usually wouldn't have bought because I didn't have any money, things that would help me out with my business and other stuff that I'm doing. So I was like, yes, this is great. But then all of a sudden, one of my canceled clients, they paid me. They decided they felt bad. They wanted to help everyone else. So they actually paid the bill, not even partial. They paid the full bill, and it was like my largest contract. It was about $1,800. So then that came in, and then all of a sudden I forgot I was getting an HST return, and then that came in. And now all of a sudden I was like, I'm like sitting on $3,000-$4,000. You know, I'm prepaying all my bills at this point, and I'm feeling pretty good. But now I kind of get that moral debate of, now I don't, does somebody need this money more than I do? Am I still in the right to have this? And what happens going forward if all of a sudden I still don't have any work? Because my closest bookings are in June, like June 30th, and we're still thinking about canceling those. So with all this confusion in my head, I had to call the CRA, guys. I've talked to a few people in government that reassured me I should be fine with that money, but at the same time, I want like direct answers. I'm playing in a real gray area here. Is, like I said, that's a decent chunk of change, right? So I called him up. Now, building up the conversation was everything that I pretty much just told you guys. And he says, well, if you got money you weren't expecting to get, he says, out of good faith, you should return it to the government. But I then told them the same thing. What about going forward? If I don't have any extra money, am I able to claim it? Say if I don't make anything in May, can I claim the June relief fund? And he said, no. He says, you're not supposed to be claiming it periodically. He's like, you either need it or you don't, or you're finding work. And I said, well, hopefully I'm finding work. I don't think I'm going to need to claim it. I don't want to have to claim it. So that's why I would rather keep the check that I got. But he says, well, if you got that money in April, he says the claim period was from March 15th to April 15th. So you're gonna have to give it back anyways. But I said, no, I actually didn't get any of this money until literally a week ago. I mean, I can show within my accounts that like from March 15th to April 15th, there was not a whole lot of transactions going on there. But nonetheless, it became this very convoluted conversation, and it was just constantly back and forth. I'm like, okay, well, then maybe I do return it. But if I do return it, can I reclaim it if I continue to not have any work? And he says, well, no. And then it was just like, it was very bad, guys. And it was very concerning to me because I know there's people out there that probably deserve it, maybe need it more than I do. Of course, I'm frugal, live it with home with my parents. I'll get by, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry. You guys have been extremely supportive as well. I mean, thanks for watching the video. And so I understand there's people out there that are probably way more deserving of this money that's our taxpayer money anyways, and I do pay my taxes. I'm an honest citizen here, show all my finances, even to you here on YouTube. So, I mean, I'm an open, honest dude, and if there's people that morally need it more than I do, and that deserve it more than I'm welcome and open to give it back. But I am really one of these people within this gray area that they haven't fully explained very well. And, you know, I don't want to have a court case over this. I really don't want the government coming back to me, you know, next year when I file my taxes and they're like, oh, well, your books look kind of weird here, guy. Like, your income's pretty sporadic. It's just, oh God, this is going to get really interesting. We are living in some fascinating times, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video here today and my little conversation with the Canadian Revenue Agency. By the way, we did not come to a conclusive answer in that conversation. He literally just told me, look, this decision is purely up to you. You can keep the money, you can give it back. But he's like, if you're lying or being dishonest, we're going to get you. And that was it. I was like, all right, thanks for not clarifying a whole lot of anything for me. But nonetheless, guys, I think I'm going to be a glass half full dude here. I'm going to hold on to the money. I am building up an emergency fund still, and I'm being very cautious with how I spend it in case, heaven forbid, they do ask for it back, and, you know, they have their reasons, and I'm not going to argue or fight with the CRA. If there's one lesson I can teach you guys, don't waste your time fighting the CRA. If they think you owe something and you don't have a lawyer that's really good and you think you owe something back, or you're like me playing in this gray area, I mean, be very careful with, like, tread lightly with how you approach this, because oh my goodness, guys, what a just a technical nightmare this is going to be for the federal government. But I'd love to know in that comment section below, what are you guys doing with your money? I know a lot of people out there have told me already they're receiving that income. Some of you guys are putting it in the market. I did put about 500 of it into the market, along with some other income that I got from some other jobs, but trust me, being real cautious here nonetheless. And I'd love to know, guys, like, how is that money helping you out? Do you have any concerns about how you're claiming it? Are you somebody that doesn't understand the rules like I do, and you're kind of worried, kind of the same? Just let me know. But stay cool, stay awesome, and definitely try and get some exercise. Stay healthy, guys.